Oh, those Poros, they are just a fan service like Porks or triple-layer toilet paper. It's all real. Well, welcome back to another video on the lore of Legends of Runeterra. Although this time it will be more like the lore of the overall universe of League of Legends. I know we have already covered all the cards in Legends of Runeterra, however that was almost a month ago. And since then, Riot revealed something massive when it comes to the universe of League of Legends. Last week Riot released another Ask Riot, and there we got a very interesting question. How much of the flavor text for the cards of Legends of Runeterra is canon in the League universe? See, in our previous videos on Legends of Runeterra, we just skipped some of the cards, because some of them were obviously supposed to be humorous, and it seemed like some things were in Legends of Runeterra as a form of fan service. Well, the answer to the question we asked proved us wrong. Riot answered, everything in Legends of Runeterra, from the art to the flavor text, is canon. Though we should probably discuss what that word means here. League and Legends of Runeterra deal with the same characters, and each informs the world building of the other. The difference between Legends of Runeterra and League is that a big part of card games is player choice, and the exciting realm of possibilities that results from combining things. We want you as the player to be able to play how you want and have specific experiences based on your choices. So players get to decide what their favorite characters, and new characters, do, who they meet, and provide them with events that they can respond to. Even if Lux has never seen a progress day in a piece of fiction, players can have her see one, and react to it in Legends of Runeterra. As implied by the game's name, some characters or stories might even be legends that we're building into our game. We can also turn back the clock so you can see things like Senna, in the moment before Thresh captured her in his lantern, allowing us to tell the story of who she was before that event. We are excited to bring players more of what they know and love, while introducing them to brand new stories and characters. This was the full answer by Melel, the Legends of Runeterra narrative lead. Now, if you are not entirely sure what this answer means, they told us that while all the art and flavor text is canon, whenever two characters interact with each other, they interact in the context of who they are. For example, Darius and Zed probably never met on the battlefield face to face, and if you make them fight in Legends of Runeterra, that won't make any difference. However, Zed and Darius do have interactions with each other, and they talk to each other as if they met on the battlefield for the first time. So in other words, so it is easier to understand, the interactions of the cards in Legends of Runeterra work exactly the same way as interactions in League of Legends. When champions interact with each other, they reveal what would happen if the champions really met. But that's not really what this video is about. This video is focusing on the very first sentence in that answer. Everything in Legends of Runeterra, from the art to the flavor text, is canon. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, when we were covering the cards last time, we skipped some of the things because there was no way these things would be canon in the story. However, with this new information, it means that we finally have canon story for Poros. Because funnily enough, Poros have never appeared in any story on Universe. Up until now, they were never canonically part of the League universe. Even in the stories of Freljord, we have never seen a Poro. But that changes now. Because today, we are going to focus on all the Poro flavor text found in Legends of Runeterra. So without further ado, let's get on it. See, last time when we talked about Braum, we just talked about his character. But now if we look at his upgraded art, he is surrounded by Poros. Not only that, but there is that one Poro that will return later. Again, remember that even the art is 100% canon. Which, now that I think about it, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to think about this. Maybe I'll have to ask Riot if Easter eggs are also canon. But either way, the art is supposed to be canon, and therefore it is confirmed that Braum really is friends with a fluff of Poros. And just in case you don't know, a fluff is what you call a group of Poros. It's not a pack, it's not a flock, it is a fluff. But more on that later. The first Poro we get on all the cards is the affectionate Poro from Noxus. Noxus has no room for weak. Will someone get this damn thing off me? The words of Darius. See, this is where things get really interesting. First of all, we thought that Poros were pretty much exclusive to Freljord. Well, this card and many others, as you'll see, prove otherwise. It seems like Poros can really be found all over Runeterra, which makes me wonder, do they work similar to Yordles? See, in some regions, Yordles can just be Yordles, and people are fine with them. But in other regions, for example in Zone and Piltover, people hate Yordles, and they imprison them or even kill them on sight. That's why Heimerdinger and Ziggs use Glamour, which is a special type of magical powder that makes them look like humans. That's why they can stay in that city. And that made me wonder, what if Poros also have some kind of trick up their sleeves? Because come to think of it, we have never seen a Poro corpse, right? We have never even seen a harmed Poro. They are always happy, fluffy, and nobody hurts them. And remember, because Poros are a new addition to the universe, at least from the canon standpoint, we are mostly going to be dabbling in theories. But what if the reason we have never seen a harmed Poro and why they are always so happy is because they have the ability to charm people, and they can trick them into not killing them? See, this quote almost makes me think that Darius is out of character. I have no doubt that if he saw a Poro on his leg, he would just take his axe and chop the Poro in half. But that doesn't seem to be happening here. He's just mad that the Poro is clinging onto him. What if that is the reason why Poros can survive so easily? Because if you think about it, Poros are mostly in Freljord. But Freljord is the harshest land you can find on Runeterra. That is, unless you count Zone or Ikathia. Freljord is almost entirely barren. Hunting for wildlife is insanely difficult there. But for some reason, these harmless creatures have the ability to survive there. They have short legs, they have short arms, their horns wouldn't be able to do much, and yet they survive against all the predators in Freljord. Again, it is just a theory. What if they can survive in harsh lands because they can trick the predators into not killing them? Next we have Daring Poro. We know that this is happening during the Progress Day celebrations, because the Daring Poro was mentioned in the Progress Day card. But the description says, her first launch was pure accident. She slipped inside a Progress Day cannon while preening herself. Now she's the toast of Piltover, arcing across the sky to the adoring gasp of the crowds below. See, again, this makes me wonder. Even though Piltovans are super skeptical when it comes to Yordles, they have no problems with keeping Poros in the city. Now with that said, we don't exactly know how magical Poros are. I would say that they are much less magical than Yordles. But still, most Piltovans don't even know what Yordles look like. That's why when Glamour fell off of Ziggs, in the comic with Jinx, people thought he was some kind of demon or an evil being, because they had never seen a Yordle before. Yet here they have a fluffy thing flying through the air, and they are fine with it. Again, I am kinda grasping at theories here, but maybe it is because everyone adores Poros. Either way, the last detail is that, here is a Poro in Piltover, again confirming that Poros are all over Runeterra. Then we have the Lonely Poro. You may remember this guy because we talked about him in the Freljord cards, and that's because this card has a story of its own. However, in that video we got it backwards. We thought that this is how the Poro ends up. This is his sad story. But apparently it was confirmed that it is the other way around. I'll show you the finish of his story later. But remember that this is actually how his story starts. The description says, a lifetime in the Freljord, and still nothing more chilling than the sight of this sad little fellow. The words of Poro Herder. Once again, have a look at the background. This harsh climate would kill any other being. And yet, this little fellow is able to survive. Just how exactly is he able to do that? Then we have Nimble Poro. Again, remember, and I quote, everything in Legends of Runeterra from the art to the flavor text is canon. And yet we have a Ninja Poro here. I talked about the Easter egg in the Ionian video, but just in case you missed it, the reason why this Poro looks like the Karate Kid is because this Poro is looking up to his new inspiration. Again, we have a Poro in Ionia, which means that Poros are spread around the world. This might sound crazy, but the last thing I remember was a fuzzy sensation? The words of Navori Brigand. This also kinda confirms that Poros are quite smart, because they are able to copy the moves of someone else, and more on that later. Then we have Plucky Poro. New recruit has the kind of endurance and courage shown by our finest soldiers. Will he make it to the Vanguard someday? He's smaller than the rest, but we'll see. The words of Vanguard Sergeant. See, the interesting thing here is that this Poro is not only carrying Demacian Steel, but he's also wearing Demacian Steel helmet as his armor. Now Demacian Steel is usually absorbing magic, so if Poros were magical beings, the sensation of having something on yourself that is sucking the magic from your veins wouldn't really be pleasant. But still, this Poro is quite happy. So while I want to say that Poros are probably magical beings, like Yordles, we also have Poppy, who is a Yordle who lives in Demacia. Or rather, she's roaming around the lands of Demacia. And as far as we know, she's not having trouble with Petricite. She hasn't felt pain from it in a single story as far as we know. So maybe, just like Yordles, Poros can be magical. They are just not affected by Petricite that much. Then again, we didn't get a single story where Poppy was inside the capital city. So we really don't know the effects of Petricite on Yordles. Out of all the other regions besides Freljord, I'd say that Demacia has to be the second most populated region by Poros. That's because Freljord is very close to Demacia. With that said, Freljord also shares some areas with Noxus, so the Noxian Poro also makes a lot of sense. Either way, remember how I said that we have never seen a harmed Poro? Yeah, scrap that. Then we have Sinister Poro, and this one makes me by far the most skeptical. This Poro is the reason why I skipped most of the Poros when we were covering the cards. I thought there would be no way this could be canon. But again, and I quote, everything in Legends of Runeterra from the art to the flavor text is canon. So the art here and the flavor text are canon. The flavor text says, I mean, there are worse ways to die. See, this card confuses me by far the most. I understand that a Poro could find itself on the Shadow Isles. But not only is the Poro wearing bed sheets to appear scary, but the Shadow Isles also don't seem to be corrupting it. Unless the guy behind the Poro is literally about to kill it. But if that is not the case, and the Wraith is just following the Poro, this means that Poros are also resilient to the death magic of the Shadow Isles. And if Poros really are immune to death magic, we all know who's gonna defeat Mordekaiser, right? Either way, if you guys have any theories on this guy, I would be happy to hear that. I just like to think that this Poro is about to die. Then we have Mighty Poro. This is the Poro that we saw on Brom's shoulder, so he's one of his friends. Also, his name is Longhorn. The description says, Old Longhorn here lost an eye defending the Poro King himself, from an ordinary Wildclaw. After all, it's not the size of the hammer, but the size of the heart that matters. The words of Poro Herder. Of course, a Wildclaw is that six-legged cat, but more importantly, the Poro lost an eye. So that is our second harmed Poro. On top of that, the fact that he's carrying a hammer means that Poros are much smarter than we thought. They can use tools, which is one of the highest levels of sentience. So when it comes to their minds, Poros are much smarter than other beasts. And maybe that's how they are able to survive. Maybe the Poros on their own can't really do anything, but every now and then you are able to find that one strong Poro in the Fluffed, who's able to protect them all. Maybe that's what's happening here. But then we have the Poro Herder himself. This is how the story of the lone Poro ended. This is how it started, but when the winter was gone, the Poro Herder with all his Poros found him. The description says, a herd needs just two things, love and company. Anything else is just fluffed. This brings up the question, what exactly is the purpose of a Poro Herder? Is he herding them for their meat, for their milk? Or is a Poro Herder's job just to have a company? I mean, he has to eat somehow. I just wonder if the love of Poros is all he needs to live. Then we have Poro Snacks. They gobble them up, then look at you, tongues out. Happy as shared Nux in the thaw asking for more. You try saying no. The words of an Avarosan treat maker. Which means that Poro Snacks are officially canon in League of Legends. Just like dog biscuits, these are special treats made specifically for Poros. Unfortunately, we don't know more about them. But the last card we have is the Heart of the Fluffed. And this is where the minds of the Poros really shine. As you can see, Poros can really use tools. From hammers, to swords, to bows, to banners to increase their morale. The banner specifically makes me think that maybe Poros are part of their own civilization. And looking at them, you might be thinking that they might be close to someone like the Yetis. Because the Yetis also had their own civilization in Freljord, before all the shenanigans with the Watchers. So maybe Poros were part of that ancient Yeti civilization. But more importantly, maybe this is how they survive in Freljord. They survive by sheer numbers. It still doesn't answer the question how do they not get massacred in all the other regions, but at least we know how they survive in Freljord. The description says, one more story, but keep quiet or mother will come. Long ago, raiders attacked Avarosa's village. Her forces were few, all seemed lost. But a Poro appeared and offered Avarosa its help. At first she didn't know what the little ones could do, but then another appeared, and another, till the hall was full of them, and every Poro gathered. Now, this confirms a couple of things. First of all, yes, Poros do survive by sheer numbers. Also, they wear clothes? I really do think that this is supposed to be humorous. I mean, Poro with glasses? A Poro with old Nunu clothing? But let's give them the benefit of the doubt, and yes, Poros do wear clothes every now and then. But the peculiar thing here is that Poros were revealed to be working with Avarosa. And Avarosa was ancient. The War of the Three Sisters was one of the oldest events on Runeterra. But these days, the stories never really mention Poros at all. And if you remember, Riot said that they can turn back the clock whenever they want. So what if the Poros really were living with the Yetis? And there was this special ancient civilization that even humans didn't know about. But then, after the battle with the old gods, and after the threat of the Watchers, maybe that ancient civilization vanished from Freljord. And with 90% of Yetis gone, what if Poros are the only remnants of that civilization? And what if there are more Poro stories to come? But that is it for Poros. As of right now, Legends of Runeterra is the only canon source for Poro lore. As I mentioned at the beginning, there are no canon Poros in the stories as of right now. But since Legends of Runeterra was confirmed to be 100% canon, that means that Poros are finally confirmed to be part of the League of Legends universe. Before I end this video, I want to ask you a question. There are 2 more videos from Legends of Runeterra that I could make. Since we learned that everything in Legends of Runeterra is canon, I could make a special video that summarizes all the new things we learned from the cards. But also, if you look at the stats of some of the cards, they actually hint at the stories as well. For example, the Mage Seeker Conservator. It's a card that creates a really powerful spell from a region other than Demacia. And this makes sense because Mage Seekers often encounter foreign magic. There are a lot of story references like this one in the cards. And if you'd like me to make a video on that as well, make sure to let me know below. But with that said, that is going to be it for this video. I know that most of it was just speculations and theories, but can you blame me? He's pretty much defying reality in this picture. Hey, did you know that we have social media and Twitch where we talk about other League facts and stories? And did you know that we have need mugs and shirts too? The links to all of that will be below. And as always, thank you, come again.